My birth certificate was almost my death certificate. My first contact with the judicial system, law enforcement, was before I was here. December the 4th, 1969. My prenatal care, as opposed to doctor's stethoscope being placed on my mother's pregnant, protruding belly, was the Chicago Police Department's revolver placed on her belly.
The fire inside. The fire inside.
Welcome to The Fire Inside. This is a podcast where we profile real people, telling real stories of how we persevere, overcome, and rise from extraordinary circumstances. Every conversation here is powered by the vulnerability and resilience of remarkable survivors who are also advocates and change makers. They're people who found ways to keep going, even when the path forward wasn't always clear. And I say they, but I really mean we. I'm your host, Sarada. So let's get into today's episode. There's people who inherit a name and people who inherit a legacy. Chairman Fred Hampton Jr. inherited both. See, he was born into a political war before he ever took his first breath. He grew up under surveillance, lots of pressure, and expectations that no child should have to carry. And yet, early on, there was a discipline within him. He had a commitment to awareness, to responsibility, and to something much larger than himself. This conversation that we had isn't about the past as a closed chapter, or even something to just simply overcome. It's about what it means to live with history in your blood, or what it takes to persevere inside of a system designed to break you, or what it takes to keep choosing purpose anyway. This is The Fire Inside, and today we have the honor of listening to Chairman Fred Hampton Jr. Let's start with the work that you do in Black communities with the youth in Chicago. For people who don't live in that world, can you tell us a little bit about what's going on in their lives and whether it's changed very much since you were growing up?
Well, one of the main mantras that our organization, the Black Panther Party Cubs, that we have is that the streets, that's our office. Our work hours are 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And our, quote unquote, if you will, secretaries are those, the people you see out there in the community. We're not a 9-to-5 conventional type of organization. Our main base where I'm actually sitting there right now, the Hampton House, the childhood home of Chairman Fred Hampton. It's a community resource center in which we have a number of different survival programs, such as the community refrigerator, in which people can, come get free food 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. We have a free clothing program. We have programs like the free breakfast program. That's kind of goes to tug and pull with that. That was on the south side of Chicago, Inglewood in particular. So these are some of the deals. Our basic template, like I say, getting up, everything we had to go do court support. That's one of the campaigns we have, going down to the courthouse, 26 in California, Cook County Courthouse, getting people, we intermittently have a program, the free busing program, to prisons. So that's just some of the programs we have. Oh, we also, I'll be remiss not to mention, our weekly radio show, Free Amal Radio, that we do, and that serves a number of purposes. Of course, getting the word out, but the campaigns we're working on, but also it serves as our political education. In fact, like even with our membership for the Black Panther Party Cubs, an individual has to actually go back and pull 6 past episodes of Free Amal Radio and give a summary or summation. This is done in the spirit with the Black Panther Party. From membership, we get to attend 6 weeks of political education classes. So it's done in that spirit. And one of our mantras with that is that information is raw material for new ideas. And this kind of sets us apart from people just, engaging in intellectualism.
Yeah.
Just reading, but actually tying and wedding theory into practice. And so people have to do a certain amount of what we refer to as Cub community service. This is Black Panther Party Cub community service. Getting out with the community, engaging with the campaigns. We have what we refer to as a triple S, straight street sessions. We may pop up in a barbershop, a street corner, and say, we if we can't get them to come to the meetings, take the meetings to them. And we have to be on the ever-developing move. I mean, everything, especially in these times right now.
For those who don't know, can you tell us why the Black Panther Party was founded in the first place?
Black Panther Party was birthed out of a need for the Black community in particular. Initially, the first name for the Black Panther Party was the Black Panther Party for Self-Defense, in which these two greats, the Minister of Defense, Huey P. Newton, and Chairman Barbershops, formed this organization on October 15th, 1966, in Oakland, California. And again, it was initially the Black Panther Party for Self-Defense. And although our community is impacted by so many different dynamics, in fact, one of the sayings, one of the mantras of the Black Panther Party, how they assessed it was, abolitionists, greedy businessmen, demagogic politicians, and fascist PA cops were the three major elements that impact the community. But the most pressing need, the front line of addressing all those needs was the presence of the police in the Black community. How in the Black Panther Party for Self-Defense, they would do their protocol, to go throughout the community and literally lay out to the people, where were you legally obligated to reveal, what information, and also just to have that support base right there.
So was the Chicago PD or the FBI ever a part of your life growing up? Did you have interactions with them? And if so, in what way and how did it affect you?
My birth certificate was almost my death certificate. My first contact with the judicial system, law enforcement, was before I was here. December the 4th, 1969, which we say two of our twin towers, quote unquote, fell. 21-year-old Chairman Fred and 22-year-old Defense Captain Mark Clark. My prenatal care, as opposed to doctor's stethoscope being placed on my mother's pregnant, protruding belly, was the Chicago Police Department's revolver placed on her belly. I was there. She was 8.5 months pregnant. She had just turned 19 years old, literally a few days prior. She covered over her husband, her comrade, Chairman Fred, was 21 years old, because he was moving slow or not moving, and she knew that was abnormal. So when she covered over him, and then when they brought her out of the room, they stuck a gun in her stomach, and it hit those off the police saying what they're saying, that he's barely alive, he'll barely make it now. And for to walk past and see 22-year-old her comrade, 22-year-old Defense Captain Mark Clark, then to be taken to jail. That the impact, it didn't dawn on me till even after the release of Judas and the Black Messiah. I think I was having a discussion with, ironically, the phenomenal young lady who portrayed Deborah Johnson, Dominique Fishback. And I was like, wow, and it hit me that even up until this day, myself and my mother, we wake up at approximately 4:30 a.m. every morning around the same time.
Really?
Assassinations. Yeah, to this day. And we never made that connection, you know what I'm saying? So, and then, and this is throughout my life, it's like the norm that, there was like, I recall, driving the vehicle and the individual in the car with me, he kept asking, he said, why do you keep looking in your rearview mirror? Don't you have your license? I said, yeah. Yes, exactly. That's why I'm looking in the rearview mirror. And he had no concept what I was speaking about. I recall being, I think maybe I forgot, maybe 7th District, south side of Chicago, police station, 61st and Racine. And as a young teenager, it happened to be several of us with the same last name, Hampton. And the young police that came in, he said, which one is related to the Hampton? And no one said anything. And the older police came in, and he pulled out a file cabinet, and he went straight to a picture of Chairman Fred Sr. and he put it next to our faces, and I was like the third person. He said, "That's your man right there."
What did you feel in that moment when that happened?
Man, as a reminder, reality check. Like, it gave me like, it's kind of like a reminder. I've often heard that Pac, many cases, really wanted Tupac, wanted to run away from who he was, and I can relate to that. I say I can I wish for a regular, a quote unquote regular life at times, then I get back to those one of those reality checks, like no, this is how it goes. This what comes with it.
When you look at photos from that night, and also feeling your mother's grief growing up, what is your first memory of what happened and what did it invoke in you?
I recall actually going to the apartment, the actual apartment, which we refer to as the massacre on Monroe, where the assassinations had occurred. I probably was approximately 11, 12 at the time, probably.
Okay.
Probably a couple of years. I may get years ago, maybe around that age. And mind you, it's a different building there at the same. But this was the actual building, and it was abandoned. And this is during our annual December 4th. Every December 4th, we have a actual event. Now we refer to it now as International Revolutionary Day. It's progressed from National Revolutionary Day to International Revolutionary Day. And we're there every December the 4th, like clockwork, regardless how cold it is, what's going on, COVID, you name it, we there. But this year in particular, I recall walking through there, and I remember just like, just like walking through that abandoned building, and going back towards that bedroom site. I can vividly. I'm. And this is probably one of the first time I even talked about that. Described. Like I was there. Like vividly. I been walking through there, and matter of fact, I was probably 15, 16. I was,
Okay.
yeah.
As a teenager, those feelings, I can only imagine, would be different than even walking through as an 8-year-old, right? But walking through it as a teenager, do you remember by chance what feelings came up inside of you first?
It was a hit, a hard hit. Just that connection. Several occasions in my life, I've been able to. I've been fortunate to vividly. I feel like connect with Chairman Fred. And that's a reminder of that loss. I've often said that the politics protects me. Many times, people say, "Well, why do you always say Chairman Fred? Why why you always put in this objective?" And I said, "Well, when I talk about our people situation, whether it be our hits that we take or even our victories, it's kind of like, and I think in Taekwondo or some other forms of martial arts, they say like if you're hit, it doesn't hurt as hard. The pain spreads, and like I'm real. Like even our victories, we just had a successful street naming in honor of Chairman Fred Hampton, and people say, "Oh, congratulations to you." I said, "Whoa, this is a people's victory. It's not. This is a people's victory." And so, on many occasions, that so even with the attacks, the politics, it protects me also. So it's not just the police killed my father. You know what I'm saying? But that dynamic with the Chairman Fred and Defense Captain Mark Clark being assassinated, even being correlated to the assassinations of the Patrice Lumumbas, and like the politics, it puts it in context. Like it's not just a direct hit. But that was going through the home. That was one of those situations where I think I don't want to say subjective. I don't, but that connection. Son of a father. I think
Yeah.
of a hidden.
So your family also had to absorb the grief of an entire community after this happened. Can you tell me about the impact that your father's assassination and Mark Clark had on the community and the Black Panther Party?
It was a major blow. It was, in fact, it was stated prior to the assassinations that I think it was Attorney General John Mitchell has, I may be getting their quotes mixed up, but said something to the effect that the Black Panther Party had to be destroyed by the end of 1969. And the former director of the FBI, J. Edgar Hoover, had assessed that the Black Panther Party represented the #1 internal security threat since that of the Civil War. And it was, I mean, you had the assassinations of Deputy Minister of Defense, our Prentice Bunchy Carter, Deputy Minister of Education, John Huggins. You had the attack, the boom, boom, boom. Little Bobby Hutton, April 4th, 1968. But in 1969, an intensified attack of a blitz, have you a blitz, which over 90% of the infamous COINTELPRO was directed at the Black Panther Party. And I had an individual tell me how he had been taken to the juvenile prison in March or April of 1969. He was from the west side of Chicago. And he talked about when he came back home to the streets around mid 1970, he didn't recognize certain areas. You know how certain drugs were flooded in the community, and you know what I'm saying, that dynamic. You know, so it was a major blow. Mm-hmm.
I guess a quick follow up to that would be like, do you feel that there are people out there that would say that they kind of succeeded in silencing the Black Panther Party, at least temporarily?
Oh, many people took that related to that assessment. That it's just Chairman Fred said you can kill a revolutionary, but you can't kill a revolution. And you know, some situations may go dormant.
And we're going to say it after this, and after I'm locked up, and after everybody's locked up, that you can jail a revolutionary, but you can't jail a revolution. Right.
Did you ever feel that your father's assassination put you on a path that you didn't get to choose?
Yeah, that was not only me, but I just not to be overly objective, but many of my counterparts. Those blows, and put it in context of not just the assassinations, you know, the aftermath, what type of movies we were hit with, what type of images we were deprived of, what type of conversations our community was told, you know, saying directly, indirectly, that you can have, you can have. People say, what are you struggling for? I said, self-determination. Somebody said, well, you have that. I said, well, no, we don't. Because, you know, if you look at it, throughout history, whether it be one generation is told directly or indirectly. You can become a football player like O.J. Simpson. Then next you can become a basketball player like Michael Jordan, and you can become a rapper like Nelly, whatever the case may be. But you're told directly, indirectly, what you can. In many cases, you can become a hustler. You encourage it. Everything is set up for you. That dynamic, that statement, you know what I'm saying, of not being deprived of that conversation. I spoke at the funeral services in L.A., actually with a repast. We went to do a repast. Stanley Tookie Williams, co-founder of the Crips in L.A. And I said something to the effect that Tookie Williams had grew up in a climate similar to myself and many others, deprived of the Black Panther Party, where the only options given to you in life is to become a Boy Scout or a banger. Just even, not, you know, in other words, you know what I'm saying, that whole discussion of revolutionary, to be deprived of having open conversations. Because it's one thing to be in a household and know about certain situations, but not to have other individuals have this have conversations in concert with it. That it impacts you. It impacts you. It's your calling. This is my calling.
Yeah.
This is my calling.
But was there ever a part of you that felt like this is par for the course, or like saw this coming at some point? Because I asked that question because I saw that you had said, this is because I'm my father's son at one point.
I'll describe myself as a three-strike offender. And not three-strike offender in a usual context. You know, they're saying that you have three. One, just for saying, one recognized as a crime for just being black. Two, for being the offspring of Chairman Fred and Deborah Johnson, of Cool and Jerry. And three, daring to continue this. That's three strikes against you right there. But that softens the blow. You know what I'm saying? It's not a complete cold splash of water coming in your face.
So when all the cameras and microphones are off, who do you talk to about your pain?
Those who I feel have walked a similar path, or still a similar path, from Fannie Lou Hamer. I have to, man. I'm really got upset with myself because I have to go talk to Claudette Colvin. I have to talk to her. So she's up in age. I have to talk to her.
Just pausing to make a quick note here. This interview was recorded before Claudette Colvin passed away. Chairman mentions her with so much love and respect. We want to honor her life, her courage, and the history she helped shape.
She's the one that before Rosa Parks refused to give up her seat. There was another young lady by the name of Mary Louise. I forget her last name, but Claudette Colvin. A lot of struggles I go through. You know what I'm saying? Again, with this race and class contradiction, some of the struggles within the struggle, and how she dealt with that. You know what I'm saying? For her history not to be acknowledging that. People, right? You know what I'm saying? I mean, we go through situations like even with the legacy of Chairman Fred and the Black Panther Party, where people try to hijack that history and right in your face, and you watch how, a lot of times people like to dismiss it, just naivety, but you say, no, it's a concerted effort. And I just really, I really would like to, I talk to, I study how people deal with similar situations. So Minister UEP Newton, so, Chairman Fred, so many others are, and that humbles you, if you look at what you're going through, you say, wait a minute, let me imagine what they're going through, what they've been through.
It's literally the essence of why we're talking right now is people that maybe didn't walk in your shoes exactly, but are experiencing the same type of, feelings or emotions that you're experiencing, and they see how you come out of it, and they go, if he can do that, I can do that too, right?
There was a young lady, we have the present day Rainbow Coalition, which was authored by Chairman Fred Hampton Jr. And with the indigenous people, the native people, one of the young ladies, she's an artist, hip hop artist, and this is one line that she said this for. She said she thought about committing. She said she considered suicide, and she said, but she said if she done that, they win. They benefit from the system. I said, wow, and she articulated it more more like in a more poetic way, and I've quoted that line to a number of different youth in particular.
Yeah.
You have to struggle against subjectivity because a lot of times with that tunnel vision, all you can see is yourself. If nothing else, to say, you know what I'm saying, the system or the individuals, you know what I'm saying, who who came, that gives them a notch in their belt, a success. And you can't let them win,
Absolutely.
And also to add to that, I tell people a lot of times, like even with this, one of the things I'm concerned with struggle, I say, you go, we do a lot of nasty situations, but you don't want to become them. I say, because they also win if you become them. You know what I'm saying? And that's the purpose a lot of times to say, okay, if it doesn't kill you physically, they say, okay. It's kind of like, I draw the correlation to the Walking Dead. I say, there are times I've got through so much battle fatigue. I said, wow, it's like the criminals are winning. Like, people, opportunists, that they win. I said, sometimes I'll be wondering, like, should I just go and let them bite me and just go on and let, but then, what I'm saying? But again, they're not a team. They make, they, if anything, they're trauma bonding at the most. And, what I'm saying? But again, to recognize, even when outnumbered.
Right.
And, and I recognize there are people. That's why there are people who are principled, like again, that came before you.
So on the heels of this depth that we've reached, can you tell me what's the deepest discussion that you ever had with your mother about your father?
Mm-hmm. I can't pick out one situation, and I feel fortunate to have fallen from the tree of two freedom fighters. I've been fortunate to, get some of the factual, real deal information about, not just from my mother, but, some people who are around him, even some adversaries. And I tell people, don't be, I would quote, subjectivity stunts one's ability to make proper summations. Subjectivity stunts one's ability to make proper summations. Don't just go look for this tunnel vision, just saying you want to know the good things. So, like, even with the movie Judas and Black Messiah, a lot of people had a lot of issues, including myself initially, about William O'Neill, the agent of Vacatur, speaking about Chairman Fred. But I think it's an old Bible axiom. Say the world would have never known about Jesus had it not been for Judas. You have to use the good, the bad, and the ugly. Contradictions. Minister U.E.P. News said that contradictions are the ruling principle of the universe. So take information in.
I like what you once said in an article. I'm going to quote you here. You said, "We're still at war, not just with guns and tanks, but with psychological warfare, media attacks, and cultural genocide. We fight it all." Can you expand on that and explain to people who are not in your fight what that fight is?
It's I said earlier, my work hours are not 9 to 5.
Right.
It's continuous. It's stuff that many people may take for granted. Like, oh, that's not a big deal. That person meant no harm with that term or that. But just even for your this system that we're subjected to, it takes away. It's a battle for your, for your manhood, your womanhood, your childhood, your humanity. No one,
Literally.
none of us would leave out of this clean. None of us would leave out of this clean. And they're continuously, and I look at struggle as like some sort of soap. You know what I'm saying? It's like a soap, like cleansing. Reminding you, who you are. Because Assata Shakur, who had just passed, who was on political exile, said something to the effect that being oppressed, you must constantly remind yourself to be clear of what's normal and what's abnormal. You have to be cognizant of that. So again, the culture, terms, how we relate to each other, and you're impacted by things, again, movies, images that you see. No one. I tell people like these children. I sympathize for them. The propaganda bombs, not the music. The propaganda bombs that they receive continuously.
Mm-hmm.
The toxicity, the images.
Yeah.
I have to check myself. I'm an adult. I could, you saying the lyrics of some songs. Falling the breast in the bed with the phone. These images that. Those images, even the phone is still on. They get into your mind. The terms, and you become immune to certain things. You usually like, whoa, I can't believe that's happening. So you have to be, and it's stuff that you may just dismiss as media or music, but you have to continuously try to remind yourself, who are you?
So I've noticed that at times people draw comparisons that seem deeply misguided. For instance, equating the Black Panther Party to the KKK, or contrasting figures like Charlie Kirk with Dr. King. So, from your perspective, how would you differentiate a Black liberation movement from the kind of reactionary or nationalist movements we often see described as revolutionary?
You have to initially put stuff in context of dealing with that question, not in a reactionary way. That question, the top tool that has been utilized by the system, the question of race, and put it in context. Like, you hear sometimes you hear a narrative like, okay, well, why do you have Black history? You don't have white history. But the reality is, you do have white history. In schools, that's history. Like, I learned even a number of things on the set of Judas and the Black Messiah. Like, even in the movie industry. When we're referencing a character, you say the man came in the room. That's automatically given as a white man. Now, if it's a Black man or a Mexicano or Puerto Rican, you have to distinguish that. Say, oh, the Black man came in the room. But you say the man came in the room. There's no other explanation to be given. That means the white man, and that's the history of this system. So to go out, and like even some people, the term white power is opposed to like Black power. So isn't the same? No, you look at the history. There's no case. I mean, no matter how subjective you want to be, Black power. Sheikh Anta Diop talks about the Africans. The history, not only African but indigenous, other as opposed to Western society, how it works in the matriarchal relationship, how you work in harmony with individuals, the gender, animals. In other words, it wasn't a contradiction for Black people without to ride on the elephant and go where you're going without necessarily have to detusk the elephant, conquer the land. That's not how it goes. You know what I'm saying? No, you want to be in reality, you want to go back and live. That's how it goes. That's the nature. You want to go with the culture of Western society, what the ruling class, the white society. That's no slight. That's historically.
Hmm.
You put that in context, and you know what I'm saying, it doesn't balance out. It's not, you know what I'm saying. So, and a lot of people, they can't even reference. And I tell you, deprive a certain um, progressive organizations or organizational ideology in the black community. You're not deprived of it. You're deprived of the acknowledgement. In other words, like similar to like we had a campaign entitled the African Anti-Terrorism Bill, and people were like, "Whoa, what do you mean by that? What you mean?" I said, "Yeah, terms like slavery, redlining, that's terrorism. You know, we deprived of that. It's not acknowledged." But you know what I'm saying. But historically, other communities are afforded the opportunity to officially designate that. So you have to have a reassessment. So wait, this doesn't correlate with that. This is a different animal. Different, you know what I'm saying, different dynamic.
Okay. Your mother, Deborah Johnson, famously refused to cry in front of authorities. Do you ever feel like you have to hold in your feelings to follow suit?
I think that in many cases, I think it's become like it's an automatic drive, and it's good to be reminded of that. That to put stuff in context, because you don't want to become detached, have that balance of being deprived of the love or emotions in general, but put it in context, reminding yourself that this is a situation, this is a system that exploits emotion, and that you're dealing with. Is the field is unbalanced. I think a lot of people think that that you can appeal to the morality or the love of a system there's no love in it. There's no love in it, and you don't want to become that, but you have to be cognizant that that's what you're subjected to. Again, this is a person that has survived her husband, her comrade, being assassinated weeks prior, and it's
Right.
still, what I'm saying, who had we're still going through situations of, in which we're still going through, I would just, this kind of off the track, but I guess it's something I was just thinking about recently. I go through battle fatigue a lot, and I'm struggling, and I have to catch myself. Like I said, I try. I don't want to be ambulance chasing. And with, people we call, I'm trying to do, be everywhere. And a family member of mine said, "Man, Chairman, slow down. I know you can't make it. You can't." I said, "No, I got to do so. I got to do that." And some people exploit that. They exploit that. And I had some cases recently. I said, "Man, I'm trying to do this," and they see this. Why would they even even push the level? And I think about this. What Tupac said, his mother was saying, they would drain you. They will drain you, and and I said, man, I don't want to just. I can't just. This is my call. Now I have an addiction, for the people, but you have to be cognizant of that. You know what I'm saying? And sometimes you need other people that struggle to pull you back. Say, hold on, you can't do this. You can't do that. So this, but but that's the reality.
Wow. A purpose
A purpose.
and a fulfillment in that purpose.
Yeah. Even and be able to acknowledge, even if you know what I'm saying, not to have there's a lot of people when people say, well, did you win? Did you? It's a certain amount of freedom in fighting. It's a certain. I mean, just the process of it. I can't. I mean, the people I've met, the struggles I've incurred. You know what I'm saying? I've learned so much. I learned myself.
Chairman, what does forgiveness look like for someone whose government assassinated his father?
Someone incorrectly did a soundbite. I know with the clickbait of an interview I did, and they said something to the effect that I forgave the individual who gave the floor plan. William O'Neill. I said that's not the case. What I said was the deal is to be able to come in, like kind of like a flip of what I said about I think Taekwondo. You don't take everything personal, subjective. Like it's, what I'm saying. A lot of times, whether it be relationships, whether it be organizational, a lot of people subjectively this is something that gets me. Like a let's say a traffic situation, traffic. Somebody ride past you, you know what I'm saying, driving erratic. Your first thought a lot of times is subjective. Like, oh, he disrespecting me. Is you don't know this. this person is at the drug house or you're going through some issues, whatever the case may be. Not to take everything, you know what I'm saying, like it's personal. Like, you know, because once you take that, it's like a direct hit at you. And that's a characteristic that this system breeds. Everything that good happens because of you, everything happens bad because of you. But that's not the case. There are extenuating circumstances that you know, so to come in recognizing that, say, there's a world out here that you know, so many things I have no knowledge of. Just, you know, to say, man, I mean, so that right there takes some of the weight off.
So on that note, why did you form Black Panther Cubs?
Initially, and sometimes you hear me interchangeably use the Prisoners of Conscience Committee with the Black Panther Party Cubs. It has an old saying, "It ain't broke, don't fix it." But a lot of people say, why don't you just say the Black Panther Party? I said, no, that's not. I respect history. You know, you don't want to tamper with the legacies of an organization that pulled it off. You know, and we ideological Cubs, the Black Panther Party. That's and it's not exactly the same. There's a lot of similarities, but not exactly the same. And and some of the same things, some issues, similar issues that the Black Panther Party was grappling with, we still facing today. And I seen that was that's the calling. Yeah.
Absolutely. So how do you reach the kids today who have so much more messaging than we ever did because of social media? How do you get this message through to them?
You put your ear to the ground, humbly. We just had an event a few nights ago at the Hampton House. Pen Flow Poetry. It's packed in front of the house. You know, to study him. You know what I'm saying? Minister Huey P. Newton said, "Power is the ability to define phenomena and make it act in desired manner." I have my ear to the ground. I'm listening to him. I'm saying, what's the phenomenon? Where they at? You know what I'm saying? So I had a conversation 2 hours ago with a young man. He said, I want to do this with the social media with you, Chairman Fred. I just did a poetry venue, the Purple Box. I'm studying. I'm telling you what I'm saying, but I'm coming in and seeing what's the phenomenon. I'm getting my ear to the ground. Keep me abreast with it. I'm coming in humbly. You studying the different phenomena, what they involved, what they engaged in. How can we put that Panther Club peel in applesauce? When I was in Atlanta, I had never heard of the comedy crew 85 South. Never heard of them. Someone had seen me in a restaurant. They recognized my uniform hat. They said, "Ain't you Chairman Fred?" He said, "Man, listen, how long you in town?" I said, "Leave tonight." He said, "I would love to connect you 85 South." I said, "I never heard of it." Everybody was saying, "Don't go on there, Chairman. This is comedy." I said, "Wait a minute." They said, "Man, this is a phenomenon. These youth, it's all the young people that they watch." I said, "What?" I said, "Man, we're going to leave the next day." Some people said, "Well, I got to go tomorrow." I said, "No, we coming. We here."
Wow.
Went there. And DC Young Fly has my vest, right? My uniform vest right now to this day. You know what I'm saying? Chico
That's so cool.
Yes, man. That's that young. When he comes to Chicago, I don't care what time it is, he comes to the Hampton House, makes his presence here. Carlos, Chico, look, man, I love all them cats, and the relationship is ongoing. So, and I can't count the amount of youth that we tapped into with that move. You have to. A few days ago, just man, so even this phenomenon that as a visionary can't see the significance of. So you got to listen, so you watch the people's response. What are they talking about? See how can we tap into it?
Absolutely. Earlier you said the street is our office also.
Yes. I work calls 24
and you
hours
said,
a day.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
And I've seen you through music, hip hop.
Yes.
As well, tapping in basically wherever you can.
I'm not your conventional, organizer. You know what I'm saying? Like, people say, "Man, Chairman, I seen you at this place." You come on the stage in Dave Chappelle block party to my political prisoners. You may see me, pop up at Sunday service church, the mosque. You know what I'm saying? You may throughout wherever you might see us pop up, but we still maintain who we are.
So this is the part when I wanted to ask you about, the different initiatives you have and different organizations, causes that you're running, like Retreat from Chirac, Triple C's you talked about a little bit earlier, the Free Amal campaign. Can you tell me a little bit about all the initiatives and all the causes that you're doing right now?
Triple C's is an acronym for Children, Community, and Cubs. Children, Community, and Cubs is where we, every Saturday, whether it be in Saint-Denis, France, Sao Paulo, Brazil, Gary, Indiana, Chicago, where, we have we take some our survival programs, so the free food program. We get that to the people, but also armed with the politics. We have the straight street sessions, where we say we can't get them to come to the meetings, take the meetings to them. We pop up in the barbershops, the pool halls, you name it, you know what I'm saying? Right there on the political pivot. The retreat from Chirac coalition with fragile farming, to go out to Kankakee like an hour outside Chicago, taking these youth strategically, making sure they phones they don't have no charges, they take them right down there to hit the land. We got cases where people say, I ain't into no farming, I don't be around no animals, and we can't get them to leave. You know what I'm saying? It's a coalition of fragile farmers, broken wings, the Black Panther Party Cubs, the Hampton House, some of the coalition work. So these are some of the programs that we engage in on a day-to-day basis.
Yeah, I saw something where you said, in regards to retreat from Chirac, right, where you bring youth from the city to, I think you brought them to a friend's farmland, right? You said, right outside of Chicago,
Yes.
To offer them a space to breathe, reflect, reset. And you said it's like a before and after commercial. The kids come out, they're glued to their phones, but the next thing you know, they're feeding chickens and learning something about agriculture.
Yes.
And you said that's revolutionary. That is revolutionary.
One prisoner, one contact. We have, everyone should be able to give us a status check or update on either their family members who are locked up, the Mumia Abu Jamals, Imam Jamal Amins, Jeff Ford, Larry Hoover, countless of the C numbers, juvenile, the prisoners, is one prisoner, one contact. We have the Harriet Tubman Code, where people who are fortunate to come out of those places alive, to reach back for those who are still held captive. We have, we have the code of conduct. We call people in the streets as a certain commitment to, it's like conduct on how, even under these conditions of being oppressed, certain things we just can't, we don't cross the line with. So this is some of the campaigns and programs. We be back and forth with the free breakfast program. That's the struggle. But we got a community refrigerator here at the Hampton House. We have the code of culture. We approach the hip hop artists and particulars that have some points of unity to the struggle. Again, it's just some of the programs and campaigns we have going on.
Beautiful. You once said you were born in a war zone called America. How do you achieve personal peace when the war never seems to end?
Mm-hmm. It's something. Some of the questions that you asked. Yeah, it's something I've been thinking about them recently, for like literally. Tupac said it in a more graphic way the other day. I resaw it. The post, and he was talking every day what he goes through. He said every day is either the police or something. He said it more in a graphic way, but I said it's continuous attack. I said, man, the attack. One way or another. You name it, and it becomes such a way of life that I don't want to say like I'm bitter or nothing, but it becomes a way of life that it's kind of like how some people say they grew up with such an intense level of poverty, they didn't think they were poor. It was so normalized. And when I think about it, I say, wow, never, no peace. What I'm saying, just the always one way or another. What I'm saying? And especially when you take on the struggles of a people.
So then how do you make peace with that within yourself?
I'm sad to say. I think it's been. I hate to say it. In some cases, it's normalized, and you look, you constantly, and you don't get to recognize the impact on it. And that's, again, none of us gonna come out of this clean. That's some of the effects of war that of acknowledgement that comes with it. I don't know to the effect that it has on. Again. I see myself like, and it's a concern because to be, people like always say, damn, it's always this tainted, this attempt to come in with, ulterior motives. People coming, but also this to try to figure out. A lot of times come in and say, okay, how can we figure out that the pros outweigh the cons? How can we do this but still maintain who we are? You have to deal with some bad people to do good things sometimes, and it's But this, I tell people, sometimes I've got to the point of one that had this old action that goes, I don't know if I'm gonna change this, but I want to make sure I'm sure that it doesn't change me.
That's real.
Yeah.
That's really real. That's very deep. Thanks for sharing that. Because what
Yeah.
I'm hearing from you saying that is that you're reconciling what you can do
Yes.
in your actions, and that's the only
Yes.
way you can make peace with it.
And I got to remind myself of that, because sometimes people would talk to you and like, people would call me sometimes, why don't you do this? And you'll forget, you know, so you're like, wait a minute. And I have to remind myself, my last name is Hampton, not Houdini. I'm not a magician, you know? And also, what
Very well said.
what they say with drug usage, the person themselves has to want to change. You can talk to people. You can take a horse to the water, but you can't make them drink. You know, and sometimes you can beat yourself on like, this person failed because they know you can. You know, I tell that comes with betrayal. Sometimes I catch myself be trying to talk to. I said to remind myself, you cannot pour principle into people.
Don't take it personal.
Yeah.
Stay focused on what you have to contribute on the inside.
Yes.
You know, think about what it is you can do.
Yes.
And these are all the things you've said so far, on top of a lot of other stuff in terms of how to get past that battle fatigue, how to get past that, you know, that idea of, is anything I'm doing even working? You know? And I think that's a very, very great way to look at it, because it's the idea that you just keep moving in what you believe in and what you believe to be your purpose.
Yes, if I can add too, appreciate when you have the opportunity of people around you who understand, who have even if they don't know you, that they respect. They can say, what I mean by that is, it's certain. None of us can know exactly what another person's going through. But I tell people, like, when you have people, like, I tell people when I'm organizing, I say, like, when you love people or in a relationship, when you talk to people, there's certain things you can talk to people and say, oh, that's a sensitive subject with that person. I don't need to know why. Let me approach or don't approach with caution. You know what I'm saying? So you have people around you that, you know what I'm saying, they can say, I don't know, man, you didn't make it. I got people who I've been fortunate to say, no, you didn't make it. I've taken a glimpse. Some people rolled on my security detail out of town. He'll come back to Chicago and say, wait, y'all have no idea. Chairman he has a chapter in Louisiana. He has to do this on the same situation, you know. And when you have that of respecting it, so look for people that can at least respect. They may not have to know you. I was, you know, I'm not a relationship specialist, but I am in anything, an arena. I've been, you know, saying, to find people that at least respect. Say, you know, what I'm saying, I don't know the details. I can respect this, you know. And you have those people. That's another. I think that's a blessing to be around. You have that.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I always say, at the basis of every relationship, no matter what type it is, you need respect, communication, honesty, loyalty. You have that.
Yes.
Then you can pretty much
no doubt about it. Yeah.
Collaborate on anything.
Oh, no doubt about it. Any differences. Yeah.
Okay. If your father could see the man that you've become, what question do you think he'd ask you?
I just said the other day, and I said no occasions. I said I can see him, Minister U.P. Newton, and Sada Shakur, now so many others. You know, even, you know, I can see them somewhere like laughing, like, yeah. You wanted this? This come with it. You know what I'm saying? I just laughed about it. I said I could see those, like, you see you see the good, the bad, the ugly that come with this? Yeah. Yeah.
That's a good one.
It's deeper than just this unity. Yeah. Yeah.
Let me ask you the $1 million question here. Where do you think that your fire inside comes from?
Some people ask me, say, what's your spirituality? I say, there's some things that I've come across that I cannot scientifically explain how I survive. So I've definitely, you know, and I say, it's some situations in my life I know, I say, well, you know, some spirituality, that keeps me, cause I've been in places and I've been against all odds, and I say, I can hear. Sometimes I see God probably say, he come calling again. I be like, man, back against the wall, and but also that history of studying that history of people, of struggle, other people. I've been fortunate to have some people, people who, like I said, just had a brother Bilal Sunni Ali, his wife, Fulani, my cousin, their daughter, and President she had just came in. We just had and I was going through battle fatigue, and she was just on for a layover briefly. But just that, just that touch bases, it was a good charge up,
Yeah.
And to have people that can really, like sometimes I'm talking to people like, I said, I know I sound like Charlie Brown teacher to them. They're talking about, they're like, wow, they have no concept what I'm saying. But it's a charge up, even just I've been fortunate to come into contact with some people, but also it's spirituality and that template, that legacy of the Black Panther Party and freedom fighting
Absolutely.
before me.
Yep. Your spirituality, your foundation, and the
Yeah.
support.
Mm-hmm. A lot of times, man, I have to get credit. Adversarial conditions. You know what I'm saying? I have to. Yeah, there's certain things that I tell people, no, that's needed. That's to force the best up out of you. Yes, you need it. Yeah, there are situations that have helped for, because I see a lot of times I would like it as an easy coast. But on those certain conditions, it forces that best up out of you. Yeah.
That's a deep one. That's honestly probably the first time I've ever heard that one, but it's so real.
Yeah. It's real. It's real. It's real.
It's not often that I get the honor to come face to face with someone touched by such a jaw-dropping moment in history. So I thank you, for the work that you do in the community and always being so boots on the ground, also fighting for injustices for Black and Brown people. And I thank you for sharing how you were impacted by what happened before you were even born and how it ultimately shaped your life, and also just where it comes from for you, and also for being so deep and honest about, how it's not easy, but it's a fulfilling purpose.
Yes.
I appreciate that. Can you also tell our listeners how they can support you in any of your causes and organizations?
Well, thank you for the opportunity. And I thank the people in general for allowing, I want to say this, allowing the opportunity for me, our respective organization, to serve. I don't think, I don't have it's not a privilege just because I'm Chairman Fred's son. It should be a given that, you know what I'm saying? So again, I think the opportunity for this to answer, how the old saying goes, my calling. So we need support. They can go to SaveTheHamptonHouse.org. I think it's now The Hampton House, but on the safe side, go to SaveTheHamptonHouse.org. It's a donate button. They go to Cash App, $ Save the Hampton House. Cash App, $ Save the Hampton House. On PayPal, Chairman Fred Jr., Chairman Fred Jr. @gmail.com. You know what I'm saying? PayPal. And also, they can come out of Hampton House, 804 South 17th Avenue, Maywood, Illinois, 60153. But again, yes, SaveTheHamptonHouse.org, hit the donate button, or Cash App, $ Save the Hampton House. And it would also, whatever support was truly appreciated. On social media, they can find us on Instagram, official Chairman Fred Hampton Jr. And also, they can go to YouTube, Chairman Fred Jr., Chairman Fred Jr.
Plenty of ways to contribute. Thank you so much for sharing that. And Chairman, thank you for breathing life into us today by sharing your story. It means a lot.
Well, it's a reciprocal relationship. I think I think the people, you know what I'm saying, again, keep me alive. Without the people, I'm doomed. Yeah.
Absolutely. Carry on with the good trouble.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed.
All right. When Chairman described his body's natural rhythm of waking up at 4:30 every morning, which happened to be the same hour a police officer placed a gun on his mother's pregnant belly, it confirmed something for me. The trauma doesn't just get remembered. It gets passed on, sometimes through the body, and sometimes before we even arrive in the world. That moment says so much about the life that he's lived since, how his awareness came early, and how discipline became necessary, and how history isn't something that he learned. It's something he had to navigate every single day. And as you heard, he continues to organize, to challenge systems that have caused deep and lasting harm. And he continues to build programs that meet real needs right where he's at. He's both a survivor of those systems and a change maker working to reshape them. The story of Chairman Fred Hampton Jr. carries loss and pressure that began before he was ever born. But it was so important that I include his story in this series because it's the perfect example of perseverance with potentially no end in sight. In his case, perseverance isn't loud or dramatic. It's incredibly deliberate. It's the ongoing work of overcoming what you were handed and rising above it. He hasn't necessarily escaped the struggle because he's building within it. And that's a lesson that we can all use as we continue to show up in this life for ourselves and for each other. Regardless of what our circumstances look like, when we decide to remain human, remain soft, and grow in spite of every challenge, that's how resilience is built. By showing up again, and again, and again tomorrow. Thanks for joining us today.
The fire inside.
If this story moved you, inspired you, or gave you something to hold on to, please take a moment to like this episode wherever you're listening and share it with someone who might need it. You can stay connected with us on Instagram at the Fire Inside Podcast for behind-the-scenes moments, upcoming guests, and continued conversations about what it takes to persevere, overcome, and rise. And if you're watching on YouTube, don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you never miss another story. Thanks for listening to this episode of The Fire Inside. I'm your host, Sarada, and I want to take a moment to recognize the team that brings these stories to life. This podcast is produced by Andrea Denise Johnson, Stacey Young, and myself. Associate produced by Dr. Kay Rankin. Edited by Brad Phelan. Mixed and mastered by Martin Stebbing. With set design by The Pink Hammer. And original music by Mark Batson. And production services from Local Astronauts. Truly a dream team. And together, we want to remind you that when you're faced with a challenge, you can quiet the noise and listen to the fire inside of you.